It is now my pleasure to introduce your host, Michael Mulholland. Thank you, Mr. Mulholland. You may begin.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is Michael Mulholland, Chief Financial Officer of CytoDyn. Joining us on today's call is our President and CEO, Dr. Nader Pourhassan, and our Chairman, Chief Medical Officer, and Head of Business Development, Dr. Scott Kelly, as well as our Senior Science Advisor, Dr. Jacob Lalezari. Before we begin, it is essential that we provide you with important cautionary language related to certain federal securities laws. Our remarks during today's conference call will include forward-looking statements. Forward-looking statements are not guarantees of future performance and involve known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors that are difficult to predict. Actual results may be materially different from any future results expressed or implied by such forward-looking statements. These risks and uncertainties include, among other matters, statements regarding leronlimab's potential efficacy in certain immunology and oncology indications, the company's ongoing ability to raise additional new capital, that clinical trials may not commence or proceed as planned, products that appear promising in early trials may not subsequently prove to be viable on safety or efficacy grounds, products may not receive regulatory approval or market acceptance, competition may reduce the commercial potential of our products, we may experience product recalls, manufacturing issues, or product liability, and our patents may be challenged or unenforceable. Although forward-looking statements help to provide complete information about the company, forward-looking statements may be less reliable than historical information. The company undertakes no obligation to update publicly these forward-looking statements, except as required by law. Please refer to our recent quarterly and annual reports filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission for more information about the risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially as compared to our current expectations. I will now turn the call over to Dr. Nader Pourhassan.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone for participating on this call. First and most important update is our COVID-19 trials. CD10 study is for mild to moderate population. This population is the toughest population to show improvement with any drug. This is due to most of these patients recover, if not in 4 to 7 days, but for sure 14 days. And to the best of our knowledge, no one has ever received any positive efficacy results better than placebo in this population in a randomized, double-blinded FDA trial. So before I give you all the results that I can in regards to efficacy and timelines of this study, I would like to ask Dr. Scott Kelly to give us update on current potential therapies options in COVID-19. Dr. Kelly, please.
Yes, thank you, Nader. I want people to fully comprehend that COVID-19 is a very challenging disease with limited therapeutic options. Until we have a vaccine that is effective and leads us to herd immunity, we believe therapeutics are the best available solution to this global pandemic. We do not know for sure if vaccines will be effective, safe, and if neutralizing antibodies will be long-lasting. Here are a few highlights from some recent therapeutics for COVID-19. In the mild to moderate COVID-19 population, in an article just published in the New England Journal of Medicine on July 23, 2020, and assessing hydroxychloroquine with or without azithromycin, patients hospitalized with mild to moderate COVID-19, the use of hydroxychloroquine alone or with azithromycin did not improve clinical status at 15 days as compared with standard care. In the moderate to severe COVID-19 population, a study in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that remdesivir shortened recovery time for people with COVID-19 from an average of 15 days to 11 days. There was no clear effect on mortality nor a clear reduction in viral load. Now, in the severe critical population, So Sanofi and Regeneron discontinued the phase 3 trial of their rival IL-6 inhibitor, Kevzara, after finding the drug couldn't help severely ill COVID-19 patients who were on mechanical ventilation. Then you have Roche's arthritis med, Actemra, another IL-6 inhibitor, failed to beat placebo at significantly improving clinical status among patients with severe COVID-19 related pneumonia in a phase 3 study. Now, dexamethasone has been shown to help reduce mortality in people on mechanical ventilators, but the concern regarding immunosuppression among these patients remains. Immunosuppression can delay viral clearance. It can cause an increase in opportunistic infections, and dexamethasone can cause hyperglycemia in diabetic patients. In the mild to moderate population, dexamethasone may cause more harm than good. We believe that leronlimab offers a unique option in these patients, a once-a-week subcutaneous injection, not an intramuscular injection, not an IV infusion, which helps to restore the immune system, mitigates the cytokine storm, and decreases the plasma viral load of COVID-19 patients. Patients who have renal insufficiency and or liver hepatotoxicity in the severe critical population are excluded from taking many of the current proposed treatments. If the trials prove that leronlimab is effective in this population, we believe it will be the perfect therapeutic option for these patients, both in terms of safety and convenience. Nader?
Thank you, Scott. So, in regards to the results of our CD10, as of today, we do have positive efficacy results in our CD10, and the data is still being evaluated to find more positive aspects. In regard to our primary endpoint, clinical improvement was scored in 4 categories: fever, body ache, difficulty to breathe, and cough. We have seen improvement in day 3 versus day 0 in leronlimab arm as compared to placebo arm. So that is the first major positive result for us. A very important secondary endpoint is called NEWS-2, which is an upgrade version of NEWS. NEWS stands for National Early Warning Score. NEWS-2 assesses the degree of illness that points out to any need for critical care intervention. Very, very crucial parameter. So again, this indicator is to determine the degree of illness of patients, whether the patient will be needing critical care intervention by assessing the following parameter: breathing, oxygen saturation, body temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate. In regards to this very crucial parameter, we have seen good improvement in leronlimab arm compared to placebo arm in all evaluated days, which is day 3, day 7, and day 14. We are so delighted with this result. Third result of another secondary endpoint is in regards to patients who needed oxygen use and mechanical ventilator. Leronlimab arm beats the placebo arm. As of today, we are still evaluating a mountain of information to put in our exciting top-line report and present to the FDA as soon as possible. Please note, there are 48 components to cytokine storm panel and 3 immunological parameters for days 0, 3, 7, and 14 that needs evaluation, and the last thing we want to do is to rush and miss any positive parameter. We hope to have the top-line report within 10 days or so. Now, what we just explained does not even touch on the number of the SAE events that occurred in this study, a very important parameter. As previously announced, SAEs in leronlimab arms was 64% less than in placebo. Regeneron just announced that they will be using the number of SAE events as their primary endpoint in their study. In this regard, I would like to ask Dr. J. Lalezari, who is best known as patient advocate, to elaborate on these SAEs that we reported. Dr. J. Lalezari, please.
Thank you, Nader, and hello, everybody. I was surprised last week by the mixed results that the what appeared to be a clinically significant reduction in SAEs engendered. These are the critical endpoints. They're not endpoints that we're used to seeing because we're not used to seeing a reduction of SAEs in clinical studies. I've been the PI in about 300 studies, and I've never seen that before. But SAEs are medically significant events like death and intubation. And these are I think, the very events that we would want to see reduced. And what I think is surprising is what appears to be a very clinically significant reduction in such an early mild and moderate population. I would also comment that what Nader just said about the significant results at day 3, as early as day 3, that is very compatible with what we saw during the emergency IND program that first encouraged us to believe the drug was working, where we saw very rapid reductions in IL-6 and increases in CD8 that started at day 3. So I think the early results we're seeing in this study are compatible with what we've seen in a more severe population. If the result was only significant out at day 14, I'd be much more suspicious of it, but it is compatible with what we've seen in other patients. And I think what is surprising about what we're getting from CD10 is that when we thought the drug was working in severe patients, we didn't think it was going to work during the early virologic phase or even necessarily during the middle immunologic phase. We thought it was really quite encouraging during the hyperinflammation. But the CD10 study, and we thought that when there was a compassionate use program, that the drug would perhaps be indicated for patients who needed oxygen supplemental therapy. But the CD10 population are patients who are even earlier. These are folks with mild and moderate illness who don't require oxygen. And so what the CD10 study is showing, I think, is that the leronlimab is going to be broadly effective, not only in the severe and critical, but also in patients who don't even yet need oxygen therapy. And the SAE, although not a primary endpoint, I think is indicative of that kind of activity. So all of this is pointing, I think, to the need to quickly take a look at CD12 and see where we are. Back to you, Nader.
Thank you, Dr. Lalezari. Dr. Kelly, please give us an update of the landscape of COVID-19.
Sure, Nader. So I want everybody to understand, we are in a relentless extension of the first wave. This is just not a second wave of COVID-19. And we need to look at this problem from all angles. We need multiple therapeutics. We need multiple vaccines. No one supplier will be able to supply the world. Patient infections are growing exponentially in certain regions of the United States and internationally as we speak. People ask Nader and I all the time, what if someone creates another viable therapeutic option? Are you worried? I can assure you that we are not worried at all. There is so much room for improvement, and many patients need help, and they need it now. People also ask Nader and I about vaccinations. Won't this end the potential for leronlimab and COVID-19? I will tell you my concerns about a COVID-19 vaccine. One is that the antibodies will be transient. Another reality is that patients will wait until the safety data is out on the vaccines before they commit to taking it. There was a recent study that showed that 43% of people said that they will not take the vaccination for COVID-19, regardless if it is safe and effective. And it is also very unlikely that the vaccine will be 100% effective. If we are able to have a vaccine that is 50 to 70% effective, many will consider that a victory. So I'm afraid that COVID-19 is going nowhere for the foreseeable future. Only 7 to 9% of the U.S. population has been infected, and think about the devastation this disease has caused already on the economy and, more importantly, in human suffering. We hope leronlimab will be part of the solution, and we will do everything in our power to make sure we succeed. Nader?
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. So now in regard to CD12, all the positive anecdotal data that we show in emergency IND, those 60 patients, the one that reacted so positively, they were all anecdotal and they were in critical or severe population. But in CD12, that's the kind of population those emergency INDs were. So we are very, very hopeful. The Data Safety Monitoring Committee has been organized as of today, and the meeting has been set. The meeting will be on Monday, August 3rd, with results due by next week, sometime during the next week. And the top-line report for CD10, that also should be ready hopefully within 10 days or so. We will give you more firm dates by next week. So this concludes our COVID-19 update. Scott, Dr. Kelly, do you have anything else to add to this?
Yeah, I do want people to understand, when we're looking at COVID-19, we are dealing with three different categories: the mild to moderate, the moderate to severe, and the severe critical population. As we continue to learn more about COVID-19 in real time, this is what we are learning. Most of the mild moderates will clear the virus on their own and will do fine. Where we worry the most is the progression to the moderate to severe category and to the severe critical category. Can we prevent the mild to moderates from getting worse and ending up on a ventilator? Can we affect the mortality rate in the severe critical population? And can we prevent and reduce hospitalizations? This is where we believe, based on our emergency INDs, that we will have the most effect. Nader?
Thank you. So now, in regards to COVID-19, Dr. Lalezari, do you have anything else to say before we get to BLA?
No, I've been encouraged since the outset, and every piece of data that's come in since is only pointing more and more that this drug is going to work, and what we're seeing is potentially it's going to work in a broad range of patients. So the sooner we get to CD12, the better.
Absolutely. So with that, let me just give you, everyone, a quick update on the BLA submission. A Type A meeting request has been prepared and will be finalized by tomorrow and submitted to FDA most likely Monday or Tuesday. During that meeting, we will also be sharing information about monotherapy and potential for approval for monotherapy. Also, we will hopefully get to discuss that also with the FDA, as we are submitting all of our CD03 monotherapy data to the FDA to have a complete submission and get a PDUFA date. We will report on the outcome of that meeting as soon as that happens. In regards to all of our other indications, I will not take very much time. Dr. Scott Kelly is leading those efforts, and I'm going to ask him to just say a few words. Dr. Kelly, please.
Yeah, sure. I'll give a brief update on that. So MS and Alzheimer's are two of our first indications that we will explore within the central nervous system. We are moving forward on these indications and are preparing protocols for FDA submission. In regards to NASH, we've had clinical trial leaders as well as specialists in NASH weigh in on our NASH protocol. And we're going to make some very minor changes to enhance enrollment so we can proceed with the phase 2 NASH trial very soon. And we believe that this investment now will be important in both clinical trial enrollment and success in NASH. And in regards to the Scientific Advisory Board, we've already had 11 commitments in the fields of HIV, NASH, oncology, transplant medicine, and pulmonary medicine. So we're very pleased with our progress, and we'll get everybody updated on that very soon. Nader?
Thank you. So just so everybody should see that the magnitude of doing a study in NASH, which I believe we will have our first patient injected in September. Now, these are major milestones for us because our animal study in NASH was very strong, as was our animal study in other indications that we have led to human trial. So with that, I would like to also talk a few words about our financing. I hope everyone enjoyed seeing that the company has raised $28.5 million. We get $25 million netted from that amount, and that was done through only less than 3 million shares, I believe. Now, I have said to everyone that we are going to be very careful with diluting the company, and I'm hoping that we raise all the money we need to get to 2022 even by using the previous shares used if we are able to see the stock perform as it has. And if it does, then our promise of trying not to dilute the company should be very clear to everyone. In regards to NASDAQ, we are working very hard, and Mike Mulholland would give us an update on that. He and his team have been working very due diligently on all of these NASDAQ procedures. Mike, please.
Sure. Thanks, Nader. Our submission package to NASDAQ continues to be under review by the initial listing department. Overall, it's important for everyone to understand that this is about a 6-week process. As such, we would expect a comment letter back next week from the initial listing department. And then going forward over the following 2 to 3 weeks, there will be other items for discussion with the uplisting department, including their review of our 10-K, which will be filed not later than August 14. So right now, Nader, it looks like maybe the 3rd week of August would be one to circle to see where we are at that time.
Okay, that's great. So hopefully on the 3rd week of August, you think we should be able to uplist to NASDAQ?
Well, fingers crossed, and we're working diligently, as you said, and we will be very responsive to any follow-up questions the uplisting department may have. We're prepared to do so.
Thank you so much, Mike. So in the last special shareholder meeting, we had technical problem with question and answer. So we're going to dedicate the rest of these 45 minutes or so, or 35 minutes now, left to the Q&A. Operator, please.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have our question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. The confirmation tone will indicate that your line is in the question queue. For those of you who have speaker equipment, it may be necessary for you to pick up your headset before pressing the star keys. One moment, please, while we now poll for questions. Our first question comes from Yi Chen with H.C. Wainwright. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, thank you for taking my questions. Nader, is there going to be a press release covering all the efficacy endpoints you just mentioned verbally?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Yeah, I missed that.
Is there going to be a press release covering all those efficacy endpoints you just mentioned on the call verbally?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the reason, I hope everybody understands, these are very strong results. And somebody just texted me saying that Dr. Lalezari said mixed results, but he meant mixed responses to the results, I believe. He can correct me if I'm wrong. But those results that we're seeing is very strong, and we can't wait to put in a press release. But again, we want to get all the efficacy data and then announce it. We had the SAE results immediately, so we announced that, and we definitely will do it. And on top of that, all the physicians who were involved in this study are going to be involved in a major publication, in major journal, immediately after the top-line report is ready. It will be very quick publication.
Thank you.
And Nader, just to clarify, I did mean the mixed responses to the SAE.
Okay.
Press release.
Great. Thank you for correcting that, because I know there are some people with ill intention on the call that might not take it that way. Thank you. Go ahead, please. You go ahead.
Sorry. So could you provide an update regarding how many patients have been enrolled into the CD12 study in severe COVID-19 patients?
Number of patients right now, I believe, is 100, more than 161. We should be close to 165. And we are doing a safety look. Dr. Lalezari has suggested to us to perhaps see if we could do interim analysis earlier if FDA is okay with that. So we'll explore all of that. But if not, we are going to do interim analysis at 195. And if the results are strong, we will see if FDA will respond quickly to that.
So I remember you previously mentioned that there could be an interim analysis of approximately 50 patients. So you don't plan to do that right now? Instead, you plan to do interim analysis for 195 patients?
So when I said 50, I was hoping that we'd do 50. I was slapped around by our regulatory team like more than I can count. And I apologized to them, said it will not happen again. They said, to do interim analysis, we have to ask FDA to change 195 to 50, and we don't recommend 50. So I gave in, and I'm sorry I said 50. It didn't happen.
I see. No problem. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Lori Haida, a private investor. Please proceed with your question.
Hello?
Yes, please proceed with your question.
I guess
Hello?
you have to go to the next question. They're not hearing us.
Sir, your line is open.
Yes, sir. Are you talking to me?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
if you have a question, please ask.
Oh, okay. My name is Mark. My family was affected by the COVID. Lost my mother. My father had a heart attack due to it and stuff like that. I'm enjoying or glad to hear what's happening, but my brother also has MS. He's had MS for 15 years. I'd like to get more information on y'all's studies of that and understand where that's going because he's losing his ability to walk and stuff, and I want to know how Lemon is going to help that in his situations.
Thank you, Mark. And Mark, I'm so sorry to hear this information about your family. We hope to get this product approved for COVID-19 very soon for all indications. But in regards to MS, multiple sclerosis, our animal study was very strong, but we just can't tell you if this is going to be, positive in MS or not. We are trying very hard to get our study moving forward. We have mountain of people that are fighting us in everything that we are doing, and in regards to our stock price, our company, our path. So we're definitely going to get an MS study started this year. That's my intention. Hopefully I get to do that. And our team is excellent. As soon as we get that moving, please do get in touch with us and we'll see if we can enroll your family member immediately.
Yes, sir. I do appreciate it. I really, since my mother's death, have researched everything on COVID and stuff, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I mean, more than being an investor, just helping people. I mean, I do appreciate everything that y'all have been doing.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for all your support also. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Dr. Alex Kadauti. Please proceed with your question.
Yes, hi. This is Alex Kadauti. I'm a medical doctor, and I am familiar with leronlimab and have tried to get it to a few of my patients who have suffered from this, but making it more easily available with such high efficacy, I think, is going to be a wonder to us fighting this COVID. What I don't understand is leronlimab compared to any other treatment that's available or research has such a higher efficacy, way higher than you would imagine, and especially with the drug from Gilead, which shows no real endpoint improvements. If looking at death and mortality, how would they get approved? Is it because they are, such a big company? Why is the FDA blocking so much? The efficacy of this with no side effects whatsoever. FDA should be scooping up and getting this approved right away. Is it because the company is smaller, or is the inability to get the right people involved? Anything Bill Gates talks about with no efficacy whatsoever. Even vaccines are in phase 1 trials that have so many side effects, and clearly there's no efficacy in those. Are talked about so much. Why is a drug like leronlimab such a miracle, yet it's not talked about a lot? Is it because it's not backed up by Bill Gates or the WHO or Fauci or people like that? And do you guys intend to approach them, or even the president? If the president knew how efficacious this was, not only to help so many people, prevent them from suffering or dying, and our economy and the world dying. You guys will be champions.
No, thank you, doctor, for your explanation. So for whatever it's worth, I wake up every morning very early, very anxious, and constantly running as soon as I can. And my team, CytoDyn team, our team, is been spectacular. Mike doesn't probably even go home with his team most of the time till late at night. With that, I have to say, when you have 2,000 drug companies saying that they got the miracle drug, FDA has their work cut out for them. The result that I just told you, and I'm trying so hard to get these results to shareholders because I know the people who have no shame and they are saying very bad lies and deceit in the public domain about this product, which because they're shameless people. But with that said, we are trying so hard to get these results to the FDA. So you just heard a fantastic result that nobody has heard. Even FDA doesn't have that. So I can't blame FDA when they don't even have the data. Now, do they look at us as a small company versus the big company? Well, the big companies give them the data in the best form. Sometimes little companies don't have those, so we have to make sure that we give it in the form they can evaluate. So I have to defend FDA in this regard, not because our application is going to be to them and they are our boss, but because it's the truth. They're asking for this study. They told us hurry up with CD12. They tried to make the condition of CD12 relax. They relaxed it twice. Whatever we asked them said yes, go. And they need that. They asked that from everybody, all the people. Hydroxychloroquine was promoted by White House, but then they said no. So you can tell that there is a good system here. We just got to show this and be a little bit more patient. The good news is leronlimab has excellent results. Thank God for that. Thank you, doctor. Next question, please.
Well, could I further that question? But be it that your studies, from what I have seen, are clearly way more efficacious than anything else out there. How is the FDA not promoting this already and make it not approval, but to be available and more available to patients, so that they could get better. And again, why can you bypass the FDA in some ways, be it that going into the president, or I'm sure the president would love to have a treatment or a cure. He's promoting hydroxychloroquine, but this is way more efficacious, much more backing scientifically, both clinically and laboratory wise. Have you guys tried to approach in that aspect or not?
So we didn't need to do that because what the FDA has told us is very clear. FDA has not shorted us. FDA has told us do this study, and we're doing this study. They gave us 60 emergency IND. We made our case. They immediately waived the waiting time for pre-IND, IND. They're working with us. And at the very beginning, when we asked them for approval with emergency IND, they said those are anecdotal, and they haven't given that kind of consideration to anybody. So with that, thank you for the question. Operator, please, next question.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Ernie Moody. Please proceed with your question.
I was just curious about the HIV patients that were currently taking the drug for treatment of the virus, and I had heard that none of them had gotten COVID-19. Could you please comment?
Yeah, thank you, Ernie, for all your support all these years, and thank you for your question. We don't have a single patient who's taking leronlimab currently getting COVID-19 that we know about. The SAEs will be written if they do. Having said that, don't think that we have 700 patients who are on the drug. Some people think that our monotherapy had 595 and therefore there is 600 patients not getting COVID-19. No, the study is almost over and there is about 100 patients left and 50 patients in extension, and so those 55 patients in extension haven't got COVID-19. That's a very great result to have and to know about, but has no merit for approval for any way, shape, or form. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Roger McFeeters, a private investor. Please proceed with your question.
I wonder what's happening with the Mexico situation. Are they actually doing a study or not?
So they want to do a study with the combination, and they told us the drug that they want to use for combination, and I told them to just put everything on hold. I'm very excited about the result that we just told the public, and I can't wait for a top-line report to go to FDA and CD12. By next week, we should have some things to be able to give to FDA. FDA has not seen any of these, so we need to give all of these information to FDA and get our approval right here in the United States. And Mexico, to me, I'm not very excited about the speed that they went, and they changed direction now. They want to do combination therapy with our product, and we're not for that right now. Next, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Lori Haida, a private investor. Please proceed with your question.
Yes. Good afternoon, Nader. With all of these wonderful preliminary results, what is the plan for filing for some federal funding like BARDA?
So we are working on those things, and I have told the team not to make that an urgent matter, because this thing takes so much time and so much of headaches for us. And our team is small, our company is small. We're trying to get bigger. This is the first time we have such a large funding that actually puts our mind at ease for a little while for fundraising. So with all of that said, I believe when we get approval from FDA, we hear from FDA that we have approval for COVID-19. If that happens, then all of those doors open immediately and will be expedited within a few days, I believe. So instead of delaying our results and delaying ourselves by going in that route, we just have chosen a different path.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Robert Lampert, a private investor. Please proceed with your question.
Thanks again for everything you're doing. And this is a little follow-up because I don't know if you can do this. Do you have a real good contact that you can converse with at the FDA? And if so, do you share with him some of these results even before our application is completed so they're ready for us and you can really have a good rapport with one individual at the FDA?
So thank you, Robert. The way FDA works is very solid organization with very clear rules and regulation. Our contact person with the team management of leronlimab at FDA, that person is a lady. She communicates between our contact, which is the head of Amarex, president and CEO, who was an ex-FDA employee and knows the head of the FDA very well. They communicate through him. Every communication has to be in email format, and it has to be in documents that you send to FDA, and you ask something, under legal laws and rules that they have. So it's not like somebody call over there and tell them get ready. It doesn't work like that. It's much more solid organization than that. Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Robert Smiko, a private investor. Please proceed with your question.
For this, I would like to know how rapidly the patients in CD10 who were treated with leronlimab cleared the virus from their bodies, and how that compared with the amount of time that it took for the placebo group to clear the virus. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have only announced today that the recovery, the score that was used as an indicator of improvement was analyzed, and I just talked about day 3 versus day 0, we have seen improvement in leronlimab. Then I talk about secondary endpoint, very crucial one, which is NEWS and oxygen and ventilator need for the patient. Anything else, everybody has to wait and be able to see it in the top line report because these are complicated and I want to make sure that we don't say anything till we have 100% legal and regulatory support before I say them. Next question, please. Thank you for your question. Next.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Barbara Wilk. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, good. I have a question regarding my nephew's son, who is 8 years old, was just diagnosed with T-cell lymphoma and has a large tumor in his chest. And I was wondering, has there been any studies being done for children with lymphoma?
So Dr. Kelly and Dr. Lalezari, would you like to comment on that?
Nader, we've screened several patients now with lymphoma for the CD09 basket trial, but all of the cells and tumor that we've tested has been CCR5 negative.
Okay.
And also with the pediatric, we don't have any efficacy. We haven't shown any results of study in pediatric, which we need to do. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's the most important point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Cleveland. He's at the Cleveland Clinic. They're doing chemotherapy with him. They're starting that, I think, next week or this week. So I was just curious where this company stood with something like that in a small child. Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry to hear that, and we haven't done any pediatric study, but we'll see as we go. We update everybody. Next, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Donald Keeter. Please proceed with your question.
Yes, I was wondering, with all the indications that are out there that we're looking at, are separate patents going to be required to cover those?
Yes, and we do work on patents. Dr. Kelly is working with our legal team, very strong legal team we have for patents. And besides that, our patent for composition of material for leronlimab, which was called Pro 140, give us the right to not have anybody use this product for any indication for the terms of the patent. And once we get our first approval, we have exclusive 12 years because we are a biologic. So we have very, very strong patents, but beside all those patents, nobody can use leronlimab because of the composition of material patent is there.
Yeah, we continue for all new indications. Yep. Yeah, just for all new indications, we're consistently updating our patent portfolio, both domestically and internationally. So for all new indications, we'll be doing that.
Excellent.
Very good. And thank you, team. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Next.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Blake LaFang. Please proceed with your question.
Yes. Hi, gentlemen. How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much for the call, and thank you for all of your efforts on everyone's behalf. Sure. I have two separate questions. The first one is a mention was made about Regeneron primary endpoint being related to SAE, and I'm wondering whether or not that change was took place mid-trial or was by design in terms of the protocol, and whether or not CytoDyn is considering whether that's an advantageous change to make as well for CD10.
So
I just asked the question.
I'm losing you. I think there is there's two different voices going. There's something wrong.
I can repeat my question very succinctly.
No, I got your question. You asked about Regeneron, whether they changed the primary endpoint during the course of the trial, and then you wanted to know whether or not we could do that. Correct?
That is correct, but it's in the context of CytoDyn having such fabulous SAE numbers for the CD10, whether or not that's a consideration.
No, I appreciate the question. Great question. So I'll refer to Dr. Scott Kelly about Regeneron, but let me explain first whether we could change our primary endpoint. We didn't do a phase 3, so we don't have to change anything. The secondary endpoints are just as important as primary endpoint. This is a phase 2. This is proof of concept. So when you do phase 2 with FDA, then you do phase 3. But why we think we should get approval, why we're going to make a case to FDA to get approval, because whenever you have a phase 2 and you have any positive primary endpoint, secondary endpoint, anything very strong, and if the indication is unmet medical need, you could get breakthrough designation, which breakthrough designation could get you final approval. Well, COVID-19 is unmet medical need in our opinion. So we just have to let FDA have enough time to look at it and see if they think that we're going to get approval based upon these results, or should we have a phase 3. We just don't know about that. In regards to Regeneron changing, I think that's the study they started, but I'm not sure about that. Dr. Kelly, do you know anything?
Yeah, we just found out about that recently, actually. We had published the fact that we had put in our press release about SAEs, and somebody had sent that to us after the fact to talk about how important it is that a lot of people are using SAEs going forward as a primary endpoint in the study. So that was brought to us after the fact, and as Nader said, there's really no reason to change now.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'll just ask my second question very quickly, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The Samsung projected Samsung production numbers started back in April as being possibly 5 million vials, and then went down to 1.2 million vials with the possibility of an additional 2 to 3 million, and then in the Dr. Bean interview, that number dropped down to 1.1 million vials, and a comment, I believe, Nader, about the Samsung possibly being booked. I'm wondering if there's maybe an opportunity for more production that we don't yet know about, and I'm also wondering about the 600 to 700,000 vials that AGC was projected to be able to produce and deliver sometime in the June-July timeframe?
That's a great question. So Samsung, we change the numbers as we get the numbers from them. As we said, we always stay clear with everybody. As things happen, we tell everyone. Samsung got booked, and they needed more, and we couldn't say that we want to get everything you can make or whatever you can make for us for this year. We were hoping for funding from major different people and hoping that we do it in a non-dilutive fashion. Those things didn't happen, and Samsung CEO is very close to me and a very, very cooperative person. So he has done the 1.1 million vials production, even though they were getting booked. And Dr. Nitya Ray has done a spectacular job. So we will be getting 2 lots of 500 and 600,000 vials, which we can use this year. So that's quite a bit. That evaluates to be around $2 billion worth of sales if we do have approval, just by way of just reference. Now next year, also Dr. Kim at Samsung has told us that they're going to do their best, and hopefully we can get a few million vials from them in 2021. AGC, on the other hand, has another facility that they're starting, which is very exciting, and they can do quite a bit. But again, we're working with all of these things at the same time. We just got done getting $28.5 million financing at $10 a share, which put us in a good shape financially to be able to at least put some down payments on some of these manufacturing. But as soon as we get some kind of approval from FDA for COVID-19, I believe funding would not be an issue, because government will do that. We believe will help us.
Thank you for that. So does that mean that we should not be expecting any product from AGC in calendar 2020?
No, we are getting product from them, but that's just the amount of it we have to find. It might not be more than like 100,000 vials, but they are trying to get more for us, and if we are able to get more, we'll let everybody know. As of right now, it looks like 100,000 is good to go, but again, we'll give you updates.
Okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, and keep up the great work.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Robert Frist. Please proceed with your question.
Yeah, I'm an investor. Just a couple of questions that have already partially been asked and answered. Number one, I'd like for the doctors to answer this, being a physician. Does by day 14, does this actually decrease or eliminate the viral load in our phase 2 trial? Number 2, does this, suppose phase 2 is successful, does this require a phase 3 study? And you said, no, maybe it's a breakthrough technology designation. But if there is a phase 3 trial, what would that look like and how long would that take? Number 3, here's a kind of behind the scenes thing that I'm thinking is all the other viruses and deaths due the people that don't take the shot each year to prevent getting the flu virus. Those that get it, 15 to 30,000 people die a year. Do they develop a cytokine storm? I think a doctor should answer that question. And if so, does that pertain to us as a possibility? And number 4 is, and this is way off the cuff, I thought I heard somewhere along the line in a future reference that it may decrease things like in immunology, the tumor necrosis factor, and that's a personal interest. 4 questions.
Thank you for your questions. The first question we cannot answer. As I said earlier, we're not going to be able to get to the data in the one that you're asking about virus clearing in day 14. Second question, phase 2.
Will you be able to get an answer?
Hold on, please. Hold on. We don't know, Doctor. Let's have other people calling also. They have questions. But your phase 2 that you're asking, we don't know if FDA asks for phase 3. If they do ask for phase 3, your question is how long will it take? I am not about to elaborate on any timeline at this time before I know what FDA will tell us. And then the rest of those 2 questions we just can't address at this time. Next question, please.
Hey, Nader, can I say one thing about that? Nader, let me just say one thing. So, yeah, so in regards to answer your question about the viral load, that was seen in the initial studies, and we believe that what separates us is the restoration of the CD8 population, and by increasing the CD8 population, that's what we believe. The CD8 cells go and clear virally infected cells. That's why we believe we'll have an effect on viral load. As Nader said, in regards to the FDA, we don't know in terms of what they're going to do. We just don't know. And influenza, it's interesting that you bring that up because we think that in a lot of these disease processes, like maybe, for example, influenza pneumonitis, we believe that there might be a component, the same component that, kills patients, and that's what we're going to explore as well. Okay?
Yeah,
but we do believe it's a very
Would you give us an update on that?
Next question. Operator, next question, please.
And that was important.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Chuck Gray. Please proceed with your question.
Well, congratulations on the great results, and thank you for keeping us so well informed. You've answered my questions.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Jim Roberts. Please proceed with your question.
Yes, I echo that, gentlemen. Thank you for the excellent work you're doing. I know it's tiring. My question is about the $28.5 million. You said a net of about 25. Are there conditions on this in terms of getting this financing based on any of the results in the current trials?
Yeah, no, thank you for your question. Mike, would you like to?
Yes, there are, if I interpret your question correctly, there are no clinical or regulatory performance milestones tied to the funding.
The funding will happen probably tomorrow?
We're expecting it today. So we've closed yesterday. It'll be funded today, and we're moving forward. We'll have further details available on the terms and conditions in an upcoming 8K, but basically it mirrors our March 31 note.
The largest financing we ever done in the history of CytoDyn. All right.
Correct.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
Thank
you, Jim. Appreciate it. Next, please.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Dino Ramsey. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I heard about positive results that you're reporting today, but I didn't hear you talk about the magnitude of the effect. Is there something you can tell us about that?
So the magnitude effect going to be in the top line report, but as I don't know if you picked up, I probably talk too fast on that. In regards to news, NEWS, which is a very crucial item, I said that we have very positive results in that regard, and we have seen great improvement in day 3, 7, and 14. Other than that, we haven't given anything else. The magnitude, I believe, would be better than remdesivir that had 11 days versus 15 days. To me, I think it's all three that I reported was much stronger. But again, let's see what the FDA will say. But that's a great question. Thank you. Next, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Mark Lieber. Please proceed with your question.
Hi. Hello. First of all,
yes, go ahead.
Thanks for all the hard work. 2 questions. First of all, I'm sure you've probably heard or seen over the last couple of days that President Trump has mentioned 4 or 5 times that he's looking forward to a therapeutic where you get a shot and then you don't even have to go in the hospital and you come home. Do you have any idea if he's referring to leronlimab when he's talking about that?
I have no idea about that. We are the only, I don't know if you are the only one. Scott, do you know if we're the only one that's sub-Q injection once a week?
Yeah, most of these are IV infusions that are being like remdesivir. We can't comment on whether President Trump's talking about us. We certainly hope that he's aware, but we are I think the only once a week subcutaneous in this population, especially as far as long as we are.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead.
And the other question is, several weeks ago on one of these calls, Nader, you mentioned there were 4 or 5 papers that are out there, Otto Yang, Dr. Patterson, that are out there for peer review, and it's been weeks already. Do you have any idea? Because I would think that would help to move the process along if we got papers with positive peer reviews.
No, absolutely. And as we said before, we had that situation, but there are 3 papers right now, Dr. Sidham Raju, Dr. Otto Yang, and Dr. Nicholas Agresti, which I'm hoping to have some kind of update next week. I don't know if I will, but I've been in touch with them. And Dr. Bruce Patterson's paper, I have no idea what it takes so long, but we're not counting on that right now. We're just counting on these 3 papers. Last question, please. Thank you for your question. Last question, please.
Thank you. Our final question comes from Mark Kramer. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
First, I want to say thank you guys for all that you're doing a great job. I just wanted to kind of elaborate on the question that was asked earlier on whether or not there will be an initial press release just saying and essentially just reiterating what you said about initial primary and secondary endpoints that we have met.
So the question that we have that you're having is in everybody's mind right now, and I want to make sure I'm very clear. Next week we will be reporting on CD12 safety look that we're going to have. We're also going to hopefully have the top line report for CD10 completed within 10 days, and we will immediately announce and publish. When we publish, is because we're so positive on our results that we want everybody to see every detail of every one of these points, and whoever wants to make their own judgment, they can after the publication comes out. With most of our doctors who had patients in this trial will be on that paper. So we can't wait for that, but as of now, that's all we can say. Thank you for your question, and with that, let me just finish the call by saying that our COVID-19 trials are going very well. Trials that I believe nobody dare to go after, which is mild to moderate, because patients, again, recover 4 to 7 days, if not 14 days. We went after that. And we just announced some very, very positive data, in my opinion. Now, SAEs being lower, and all of this stuff that you guys seeing, that's better positive than most of the big pharmas have reported on their drugs. Now, our CD12 is a trial that is based on those 60 emergency INDs that we saw, and we are very, very happy about those results, and we're going to announce something hopefully next week on that in that regard. With those two aside, our cancer trial is going forward. Our HIV, we are going to have a type A meeting, and we are going to ask FDA to give us guidance and approval for also combination therapy. For monotherapy on top of combination therapy. We will get guidance from them and report to the shareholders. And the financing that we just did, somebody paid us $10 a share. I think the last we checked, the stock was $5.30. Now, we don't have to pay back anything for 6 months, Mike, am I right? And we have 2 years to, the note is due in 2 years. We just bought ourselves a lot of time and a lot of money. So we're sitting at a good amount of cash, and we could go and just work on our tasks and not report to anybody, but just once every quarter. But we don't choose that because we are excited about everything that we have in this company. We cannot sleep because we are so excited that we could help the patients of the world, number one. And then number two, make the have fruits for all of our shareholders of their hard work that they had done for us. So with that, I thank everybody and look forward for our next call. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's web conference. You may now disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation, and have a great day.